Hello friends, this is Music Man from his man cave, and now it is time to finally, the biggest Superman fan of them all. I'm right up there with anyone you can talk to. I love the mythology of Superman. I enjoy everything about the character. Um, he's so good. He's so awesome. And so let's examine these movies for real and talk about how we can appreciate all of these different directors' vision without so much hate being flung around. Because variety is the spice of life. So let's talk about Superman, the different movies, the different visions, and let's just set this straight. Music Man coming at you right now. I tried to watch some of these YouTube videos of these people evaluating Superman, and they are so cruel with some of the director's vision and some of the movies that have come out. And I just say that there's a way that you can look at this, that you can appreciate each director's part and their vision of what they shared of Superman. Let's start with the one I saw as a kid, old George Reeves. Don't know all the story, but somehow he had three seasons, and he somehow got caught up in the mob or something, and there was a Superman curse, and so he got murdered or something. But he was, I'm telling you, in the 1950s, he was the iconic Superman. There's even a story about a kid pulling out a gun to shoot at him to test that he was impervious to bullets, and he said, "Don't shoot that in here because it'll ricochet off me and probably injure somebody else." And that was just George Reeves. He was pretty clever that way. I don't know who tells that story, but I've heard it many times. So I watched those, and you can tell that he's just laying on something, and they're moving something behind him, and it's very. But the Superman mythology is there. Some of the episodes are very cheesy, of course. They're straight to television. The first season is pretty good, and then it starts getting really, really repetitive, which is pretty common for television. And so I watched that, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Straight to TV, 20 minutes, 18, 20 minutes episodes of Superman. And his costume, of course, did not look really great. He does not look as good as the Supermans that they're putting forth today. And there's some Supermans that I completely skipped over. I never saw Superboy or some of those that came out in the 90s or whatever. But the first one that really rocked me is when we went to a movie theater and this movie came out with Christopher Reeves. Now this movie absolutely blew me away. Now why it blew me away is because the TV series with George Reeves was so campy, and this was Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder here, and Gene Hackman. They were taking the source material very seriously. And Christopher Reeves was the first one that made you believe that a guy wearing glasses, it'd be hard to believe that this guy was this guy because he was such a dork. He was so cheesy. He was so socially incompetent. He was so clumsy. And so he used his Juilliard training to really bring Superman to be an intelligent, talking, thinking, introspecting person. And Margot Kidder, oh my goodness, was she an adorable Lois Lane. She was perfect. She was like right out of the comic books. They really nailed this. I thought Gene Hackman was way overrated. But he's not who I'd picture to be a good Lex Luthor. But they put him in there, and they paid him a lot of money to be in the movie, to get the movie going. Because at that time, Christopher Reeve was basically unheard of. So, great movie. Love it. I say the movie is definitely a wow in my book. So then the second one came out, and I have to honestly say I went to this one twice in a row because I was older and I had that ability to pay the money and do that. And that would be this movie, Superman 2. Now this had a lot of controversy because for some reason they fired Richard Donner and hired Dick Lester. And so you can see there's times when his hair is different, and you can tell this movie is just spliced a bunch together. However, it is a wonderful romp. Uh, Superman falls in love with Lois Lane. He does something unimaginable that we're all yelling no in the theater. He decides to give up his powers at the worst time possible, after he has a nuclear explosion happen in outer space. And then these three, led by Torrance Stamp of Billy Budd fame, and that's really dating me. If you should watch Billy Budd, that's a good movie. Her, I don't know so much when they played Ursa or Nan. I didn't know them. Some know her. I saw her in a Conan Barbarian the movie, or The Destroyer with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but before that, I don't really know. Tell me below some other great movies that she's been in, where she was a standout. This movie was an outstanding piece of work. It was a miracle it was even produced, and I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it, right down to the end. Pretty cool stuff. Really, that was a cool ending. Again, brains, not brawn. And so, after those movies happened, I've already looked at my review on Superman 3. I enjoyed it. Well, at first I hated it, because they went right back to Batman and Robin, the TV series. They went to camp. Stuff that was not funny. Penguins rolling around, people falling in holes, a blind man losing his seeing eye dog and grabbing a something that paints lines on the street, and he's following that. And Superman protecting this gorgeous blonde that's walking around and hitting guys in the face with pies. The Three Stooges meet Superman and Richard Pryor, who's accidentally funny, not purposely funny. So the movie had its merits. And then there was a movie that was made that should have gone straight to DVD or straight to TV, with Superman for the Quest for Peace. And it was obvious right from the credits at the beginning that this movie was not supported. It did not have the budget. It was obvious. I felt like I was watching a TV movie. And so it has its moments, but then it just has things that, you can accept a certain amount of things, but there's some things in that movie that are just so bad and so poorly executed that it's the kind of show you watched on TV and you'd never go back and watch it again because you realize how bad it was. Kind of like the Dukes of Hazzard from the 1980s. You watch that, and you liked Roscoe P. Coltrane at that time, but now sit down and try to watch the Dukes of Hazzard, and you'll think, oh my goodness, I must have had something wrong with me, because the Dukes of Hazzard are not fun to watch anymore. So, that movie I kind of wrote off. Then, Bryan Singer stepped away from the X-Men, and he brought his vision of Superman, or Superboy, with Brandon Roth. I took my daughter to this movie, and I enjoyed it. It was not what I expected. I expected an action spectacle. Superman doing a lot of things like he did in Superman 1, flying around, and it was a lot less action, a lot of Superman walking around, flying with tears in his eyes, trying to fit back into a world where he basically had left, and they had moved on without him. And so it's a very, very morose, sad Superman movie. It's not filled with joy like Superman 1 and 2 was filled with. There's a lot of sorrow here. There's a lot of miscommunications. There's a lot of wanting to get back to that place of Superman 2 where Lois was completely enthralled with him. And Kate Bosworth does an okay job as Lois Lane, but she's not the Lois Lane I picture. Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, maybe even the girl in the Lois and Clark TV series with Dean Cain, maybe her, Terry something another. She would have been a better Lois Lane than Kate Bosworth. I don't know how Kate Bosworth got selected. Someone let me know down below, because that was a bizarre choice. Anyway, we'll pause there. These are just some... now, I can appreciate even the George Reeves Superman for the time that it came from. I can appreciate Christopher Reeve and his Superman take. They put a lot of money behind that. And the Superman 2. lot of money was put behind that. You can tell it was very well supported. Even through controversy, we lost Dick Donner and we got Dick Lester. We went from the very serious to part serious, part camp, which I like Superman 2 better because of that. Kind of reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy today. A lot of wit, a lot of humor there. And then you get Bryan Singer's Superman, and it's a very reflective, a very personal, a very sad, a very melancholy Superman. And him trying to find his place back in the world after he had left it for 5 years, to go out and search into the remnants of where Krypton was to see if anyone survived. And we know that Supergirl did. It'd be nice when they bring her back. But anyway, I'll continue on more in part 2 about Superman in just a moment.